Vino Mexico. We made it again to another Friday night. It is Friday the 7th of April. This is Guadalajara in the state of Jalisco in Mexico. It's about 80 degrees. It's a little earlier than usual, but we're coming to you direct with Vino Mexico, your weekly program about all of the great wines produced down here in Mexico. Thank you to everybody who has joined us all through the week, everybody who has clicked those little buttons, everyone who has joined us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all of the social networks, everybody who has subscribed. You are the lifeblood of why we are doing this. And if you want to see more of it, please visit our Patreon page and help keep the things running, because you know why we're doing this. We are here because we believe that every single bottle of wine throughout the world has a story to tell. It is a story of the land, of its people, of the energies, of the fruit, and of the terroir and where it is made. It is the passion of the people. It is the reason that we drink wine is because it is about the moments, the wine that you share with people, the wines that you share with your loved ones, with people you like, people you don't like, people you want to like. That is why we drink wine. That is what wine is about. That is why Mexican wine is so great, because this is a land of sharing, a land of warmth, a land of harmonies, and a land of great people who want to share great times with you. So check out any Mexican wine you can, wherever you can find it. They are all really good. Okay, so today we are going to be doing the third part of the Solar Fortun range. This is, spring has sprung officially down here in Mexico. We are now back into Central Time, and outside the flowers are blooming. There are purple flowers everywhere. There's red flowers, yellow flowers. The trees are in bloom. The girls are looking good. The guys are looking good. Everybody's happy. This Friday now is the start of Semana Santa down here in Mexico, which literally means everybody is heading to the coast. And so, of course, with it being spring, with love being in the air, it's time to start looking at something a little more different than the usual red wine. So we're going to start looking at Rosa, and perhaps in a few weeks, maybe start looking at some more white wines. And then as we get more into spring, to get ourselves prepared for summer, get the barbecues going, because you know these things work really, really well with fish, with salads, with light foods, as well as with cheeses and with light meats as well. So yeah, this is a really good time to start looking at these. So the fourth part of the Solar Fortun range, I present to you the Solar Fortun Rosé, called La Vina en Rosa. Now I'm guessing that the name of this comes from the song La Vie en Rose, the famous song by Edith Piaf, later made famous by Louis Armstrong. Having looked a little bit at this wine, I'm beginning to understand why, not just because it's a rosé wine, but from the first words of the song, hold me close and hold me fast, the magic spell you cast, this is La Vie en Rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see La Vie en Rose, he said in poetic form. However, that being said, this quite literally is, to make a rosé wine, let's talk a little bit about this. To make a rosé wine, it has to be treated with amour. The grapes have to be treated very carefully. The wine is a gentle balance between light and between dark, between the red and the white, in order to create the perfect balance, which is the rosé, he said in an amorous fashion. It is spring after all. So, this particular wine itself, we are told, it is a 100% Mourvèdre wine. The grapes themselves are grown specifically for the rosé wine. There are some unusual characteristics about this wine. This particular has a malolactic fermentation. I'm sorry, what did I just say? A malolactic fermentation. I had to look this up because I had no idea what that means. Because, as everyone knows, I'm not a sommelier, I'm not a wine expert. I am a consumer, so I have no idea what malolactic fermentation means. So I looked it up. And what it means is when they make the wine, all the skins and all the flesh go in with the juice and it all starts to ferment. That's called extraction, apparently. That's a little bit good metaphor I found, is when you have a hot cup of water and you have a tea bag, and you dunk it in, the longer you leave it in, the stronger it gets. So in order to make a rosé, sometimes they take the tea bags out, and hey presto, if you'd left it any longer, it would have been a red wine, but it's not, you didn't leave it long enough, so it's a rosé. Okay, that's enough about teabagging, but essentially with this, that doesn't happen. The grapes are made for it, and the malolactic fermentation changes the flavour literally from high acid, high sort of dry and crisp feeling, which would be expected from a rosé, to give this more of sort of a red wine, perhaps even a Chardonnay effect, is going from a malic acid to a lactic acid. So the acid is more smooth, more buttery, more creamy. So this is going to be a really interesting wine. It's unusual because it's differing from the normal way and the normal style of rosé wine. It's more like a red wine, treated like red wine, with grapes made specifically to make rosé wine. So it's a red, but it's a white, but it's a little bit buttery, and it's going to be really, really interesting. This wine, like red wine, should be stored at and served at 12 to 13 degrees Celsius. That is 54, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And we are also told, and we're going to do like a two-stage testing with this one, because we are told that the wine continues to evolve in the glass over 20 minutes. So while it may have certain characteristics when it's fresh out the bottle and at stored temperature, this bottle is currently at 12 degrees. I've had it in my wine cooler. And once it starts to open up and starts to become a little more expressive, perhaps more some of those red notes and those red wine notes are going to start coming out. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And then, of course, we're going to get into it because it is Friday, the Double Glug Challenge. We're going to see how this wine treats us as we get into the weekend. Hopefully it's going to put a little rosé look on our face. Perhaps. We'll see. We shall see. So, as always, we're going to take a quick look in the Wine Folly book by Madeleine Phuket, www.winefolly.com. Please check her out. Great, lots of information about wine. We've found a few little discrepancies between the general information in here and the characters of the Mexican wines which we're finding, which is another point to say why Mexican wine is so interesting and so great, because it's breaking from the norm, and this is a good thing. Okay, so we're just going to open up to the section on Mourvèdre. Okay, so Mourvèdre, we're talking, this is officially a medium body red. Normally it's well, even so they're saying it's in part of the the Malbecs and the Cabernet Sauvignon. Originally it's a Spanish grape, and it's grown pretty much all over the world, including Mexico. Okay, so it's a medium to high fruit content with a strong body, a lot of tannins in there, which again would be unusual for a rosé. Medium-high acidity with a medium-high alcohol. We're talking a lot of black fruit, ordinarily a lot of black fruit flavours in there with predominant mineral flavours. So again, are we going to be looking for that Valle de Guadalupe minerality? As you know, this whole range is from the Valle de Guadalupe in the Baja California, and they have a thing with salinity and minerality within the wines. Is that going to be the case here? From the previous, the Confabulario and the O Positivo, these guys work hard to change that and create a new flavour. Perhaps that's the reason for the malolactic fermentation within this one. Again, it's different processes to create different flavours. There are herbal notes in this and a very small amount of wood notes in here. So again, from a warm climate, we're talking blackberries, we're talking jams, but this is a rosé that has been fermented with specially grown grapes. So this is going to be really interesting. This is going to my mind, it's going to be a complete departure from this. So from the two stages, it's going to be interesting to see how we get into it. So it's Friday. It's time to get into it. I know you've been looking forward to it. I know I've been looking forward to it. So how's your week been going, sir? Have you had a good week? I do hope so. My week has been good. It's been productive. It's been an unusual one, but it is still hot, and the sweat starts to run down your face. So let's get into this wine as we cut into it, and we get the cover off. This wine itself is, again, it's a 2016, so it is a very, very young wine. This doesn't surprise me, considering it is a rosé. I wasn't expecting it to be too aged, to be honest with you. So let's get into this. But I mean, quite literally, this was grown last year and it's been barreled, fermented, processed, and then served up. So screw it down, not all the way, as we know. And the cork comes out with ease. Now, the cork itself, as with all of these wines, is in perfect condition. There is no sign of any heat, aging, or cracking or breaking, and there is a look at that. There is a beautiful salmon colour on the bottom of the cork there. That is gorgeous. That's going to be a great addition to bong, the cork glass. So that was a $2 bottle opener. We have the wine glass. We have the rosé. Spring is in the air. It's time to get ourselves a little bit of La Vina Rosa, or La Vina in the Rosa. A little bit of love as spring starts. So this is going to be the first stage. This will be the first smelling and tasting, and then we're going to leave it. I'll come back, and then we'll see how it has evolved from then. So this is the first one, the smell. The colour itself is, wow, peaches. Even just from that little smell, I got peaches. Okay. The colour itself is a lovely smoked salmon colour. It is clear, it is bright, there is no sediment, there is very little bubbling. In terms of the, I mean, it's very young, but there's glycerol forming around the edge of the glass and the legs coming down, so it could be quite round in the mouth, so we'll see. Again, yeah, peaches, but sort of soft, and roses. Maybe I'm being influenced by the name, I don't know. Rosé is not really my type of wine, or hasn't been. I've got a whole thing from the 70s with the Matthias Rosé and being the whole big thing in like 1982. So I have tended to stay away from it, to be honest. But we'll see. I mean, we have drank it from time to time. But this wine is very clean, very crisp. It smells very crisp. It has citrus notes in there, but it also has sort of a floweriness and yeah, peaches. It's smelling to me of like when you open up a can of peaches, whoosh, it's that when you bite into one and the juice is dribbling down. That's what that's like. Okay, so let's go for the first taste. Okay, and I was reading that the type of fermentation added a buttery flavour to it, especially when applied to wines like Chardonnay, and that is where Chardonnay gets its butteriness from. That has a buttery flavour to it. Is it like buttery popcorn? No, but there is a sort of a creaminess to it. And then there is the dryness and certainly a tannin, a little bit sort of an aspartic, I think that's the word, but it's sort of a dryness on the top of my mouth, and the tannins then sort of bedding into the tongue and on the back of my lips as well. So you can certainly tell that it's coming from a red wine grape that's been made in a very different way. There is certainly, again, as you would expect from a rosé, a very floral, slightly grassy. Yeah, to my English nose, a very grassy sense, but with flowers like wildflowers. It's like a meadow. It's like a meadow in Dorset in the summer. People from Dorset, you probably know what I'm talking about. Everybody else, Dorset. Yeah, very sort of yellow fruits like mangoes. Again, the peaches with wildflowers and sort of grass. It's spring. I mean, it is spring in a glass. In terms of enjoyment, it's not strong, it's not hitting the back of my nose, there's no alcohol burn, it's still light, it's still crisp, it has all of the characteristics of a rosé wine, which as a consumer of wine, that is what you want. If you're buying a rosé wine, you generally know what to expect, or what you want to expect. Okay, so this so far is straight out of the bottle at 12 degrees. We are going to put this here. And we're just going to top it up a little bit. And then we're going to try it again in 20 minutes, the glass, and then we'll come back for the second session and see how it is. So, bye. Okay, so that has been about 20 minutes. This has been now sitting in the glass there, evolving and developing its flavours and its aromas and all of that good stuff. So it's now time for part 2 of the tasting of La Vina and Rosa to see how much more we can get out of this very buttery and very fruity, very floral rosé wine. So let's see what more we can go for. Okay, yeah, the peaches has melted away and has been replaced with a sort of a strawberries and cream sort of smell. Yeah, very much. It is now sort of more of a fleshy red fruit, not berries per se, like blackberries or anything like that. But yeah, certainly a strawberry. But again, the cream is very, at least with me, is very prominent there. So let's try for the second taste. Give it a little swirl, get it moving. Okay, that's now a little more acidic. It is certainly more acidic. My mouth is now starting to water. So yeah, one of the recommendations is that this would be really good with seafood, with shellfish, for example. And yet I can see that. I can see how, for example, with oysters or with mussels or pata de mula, as we have here in Mexico, or even lobster, with the butteriness there and the garlic, that could really, really work. Again, I would suggest perhaps even something like a satay chicken. There's a very light, very slightly chili flavour in there. That could go really well with this, as well as the peanutty. In fact, within the satay, could actually work really well with the butteriness and the fruitiness and the floralness. One more just for... Yeah, so again, the floral notes are still there. It's still very much classically a rosé. Yeah, okay, but now having matured a little bit, the flowers are now the flavours are now more acidic. They're more not tart, not tangy, but there is a certain sweetness there. It's not dry at all. I wouldn't say it's dry, but there's the butteriness, and you can certainly see how it is related to a red. And it's interesting to see how they managed to achieve this without having to reduce the extraction, the different forms. I don't know how they managed to do this, but it's really, really good. Okay, so it is Friday, so we have to do the double glug because, as you know, at the end of the week, you come in, you're tired, you just want to relax, you want to get into the weekend. This is, as you know, is to get the autonomic reflex, which is to see how the body reacts to a good kick, and then to get the absolute essence of the character of the wine. As you start your weekend and getting into it. So I think we have enough there. So this is the double glug in 3, 2, 1. I'm immediately reminded of cider. As the certain brand of cider that you get in the UK and is now popular over here in the Americas, the ones with the arrows that I'm not going to mention the name of. But when you get there, it's like an instant sort of fruit on a crisp apple sort of kick. So, very, very refreshing. Because it's now warmed up a little bit, that has now mellowed a little bit, and the acidicness is sort of hitting the back of the throat a little bit. So I can see why this has to be served at red wine temperatures. Room temperature being 12 degrees, France, Europe. If you hit this warm, it doesn't have the same effect, and it just becomes a little aspartic. Yeah, it's a little bit of sort of... But as an evolved wine, as the vapors have come up, then yeah, mixed with food, it can be absolutely exquisite. As a refresher on a Friday night, you want this cold. This would be great at the beginning of a barbecue while you've got the salads and the chorizos coming out and all of those, the vegetables all cooking. So yeah, in terms of spring, down here in Mexico and up in the USA, and now things are all thawing up in Canada as well, I hope. As you're starting your spring, this is certainly a good starter. It is a very good starter to help you progress further into your weekend, perhaps on a Saturday afternoon as you're relaxing with family and friends. Share this around, and it's a wine that's going to get you going. So that's what I would recommend. Sharing with family and friends in a barbecue setting, in an afternoon party, relaxing in the sun, getting your springtime on. That is exactly what this wine, in my opinion, is good for. So, I hope you enjoyed this show. I hope you're enjoying your wines wherever you are. I hope you have a great Friday night. Please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter, on... what else are we on? Tumblr. We're even on Tumblr. Check us out on minds.com. That's a new one. Please check out our Patreon page to help keep things running. Any help you can throw us, we greatly appreciate it. Next week, we are going to be launching back into the fourth and final part of the Solar Fortun series. So yes, we will be doing next Friday as well, Good Friday, and we will bring into you the Noble Crew in the fourth and final part of the Solar Fortun series. So I hope you like these series. Please check out their website. It's www.solarfortun.com. Little words down here. And yeah, you can buy direct from the site. Check out the other videos to see what type of wines you like, and look at all of the other little sips that I've been kicking out during the week to get an idea of all of the wineries out here in Mexico. So for now, thank you very much. Hope you have a great Friday night. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Enjoy yourselves, and salud.